You know what most people don't realize? Hijab, the command that so many of us rush to enforce today, wasn't revealed until around 16 years after revelation began. 16 years. And I'm not talking about a group of weak Muslims who needed convincing. No, I'm talking about the best generation to ever walk this earth. The men and women who left their homes for Islam, who were tortured, starved, beaten, even killed, who gave everything. Yet for more than a decade, you couldn't even identify them as Muslims by appearance. There was no hijab. There was no dress code distinction between a Muslim woman and a non-Muslim woman. Not yet. And that should make us stop and think. Isn't that shocking? Ask yourself, why didn't Allah reveal it in year 1? He could have said, "You've accepted Islam? Good. Now put the hijab on." He could have made it step 1 in the journey, but he didn't. Instead, he waited. And not because hijab isn't important, it is. It's a command from our Rabb. But Allah was teaching us something far deeper. Allah transforms the heart before He commands the appearance. He fills the soul with Iman before He places any burdens on the body. Today, though, we flip this upside down. A sister takes shahada, we hand her an abaya. A teenage girl starts feeling religious, and overnight, she's being policed on her hijab style, length, material, color. We try to rush what Allah never rushed. Let me tell you something straight from the heart. You can't cover the head if the heart is still uncovered. It never works. I've seen it myself. Girls who wore hijab out of pressure, not conviction, not love for Allah, just pressure. And within months, it comes off. And worse, now that scarf becomes a memory of pain, of arguments, of shame, of being pushed. Now she's not just resisting a piece of cloth, she's resisting the memory of Islam being forced on her. That's a trauma much harder to undo. And that's why we need to understand how the Qur'an was revealed. We treat the Qur'an like a book of rules. But it's not just that. It's a book of transformation. 23 years. That's how long it took to complete the Qur'an. And most of the early verses, they weren't about rules. They were about Tawheed, about Jannah and Jahannam, about mercy, hope, akhirah, and accountability. The Qur'an softened hearts before it instructed limbs. The Prophet didn't walk into Mecca with a list of do's and don'ts. He walked in with love, with truth, with compassion. And then, when Iman had matured, then the rules came. Hijab didn't make those women righteous. It was their righteousness that made hijab beautiful to them. You want someone to wear hijab and keep it forever? Then help them fall in love with Allah first. Talk about Jannah. Remind them of Allah's mercy. Connect them to the Qur'an. Make their eyes weep with love for the one who created them. And then they'll wear it, and they'll never want to remove it. Because now, it's not just a cloth. It's an honor. It's not a burden. It's a badge of submission. But don't stop at hijab. This lesson applies to all of Islam. We often think the biggest priority is external appearance, but it's not. Goodness to your parents, that's a priority. Speaking the truth, that's a priority. Keeping your promises, praying your salah on time, watching your tongue, all priorities. But even before all that, the greatest priority is turning hearts back to Allah. That's where real change begins. That's how the Prophet ﷺ raised a generation that conquered the world with light, not with force. So my dear brother, my sister, don't push people into Islam with commands alone. Pull them to Allah with love, with wisdom, with mercy. That's the Sunnah. That's the way of the Qur'an. And wallahi, it's the only path that truly transforms hearts.